helping clients figure out what the stressors, what the situations are that are causing them to either come visit y'all here at Truman whenever you guys are doing your rotations. We have a gentleman that for many, many years used to go to the BHEAD, the emergency departments, to get a foot bath every night because he was walking around having lots of hallucinations, and we kind of worked to step in to help him to deal with those triggers so that he didn't have to walk the streets. One of the other kind of prerequisites, what we're looking for as factors for the team, are clients with frequent, of course, inpatient admissions, people who have trouble maintaining finances, maintaining bonds, social skills with other people, clients who have really been unable to come in for y'all's appointment on their own, to really get the help that they need, because traditional outpatient therapy doesn't work, case management. We have lots of different teams here at Truman, and we're not one size fits all, you know, and we're not the end-all, fix-all team or help-all team. We don't work for everyone, but I really kind of feel like we work best with a lot of the people who have these severe problems. So psychosis is something drastically different than I ever realized it, and it really affects the people that we work with in very varying details. Like, one of the things that I told Nazreen is that it's going to be different than you've ever heard about or seen. I mean, really being around, like my first day on the job, there was a gentleman who, first person I ever got to meet, was choking himself and yelling at Eve of Adam and Eve to stop tormenting him. And that was an eye-opener, you know. However, I would say, I don't remember exactly who you and I went to go see whenever you rode with me, but I think if I didn't tell Nazreen some of these people, I don't think she would have been able to tell what their primary diagnosis would have been. A lot of our clients are able to maintain their health care and their antipsychotic needs to the point that, I mean, you think general population, 1 out of 100 people, my goodness, that's a lot of people with schizophrenia walking around. Unfortunately, because, tying in what we're talking about today with the low-income, underserved population, it's difficult because everybody's symptoms are so drastically different. Engagement is going to be difficult for y'all, whether it's because of the psychosis or it's because of difficulty in the past with understanding healthcare. When you think of the first psychotic break is somewhere, let's say averaging it out 18 to 20, when most of us are really learning more about kind of the secondary socialization, how society works. They haven't really engaged in adult conversations too well. So it's going to be interesting for y'all. I brought a packet, kind of our go-to list of every kind of social service, all the stuff that we have in the community to connect people with. One of the things that I told Nazreen when she was with me was that there's a lot of resources out here, but not a lot of people know about them. And kind of, I think I took you to Rock Hill Manor that day, and that's kind of an eye-opener. Whether you guys, you know, kind of Dr. You touched on this, but really understanding where clients are coming from when you talked about healthcare and co-insurance, co-pay. One of the things that I would want to leave with y'all is clients that are on SSDI or SSI, so Supplemental Security Insurance, correct? That's what it stands for. I just always use the acronym, so I'm so terrible. I don't even know. And then disability income, SSDI. There's generally not a lot of money there, so they don't have a lot of options. There's a lot of group homes in the community.
Take a minute and define not a lot of money is.
Okay, well, if you haven't worked much, and I don't know what the number would be, but let's say you really haven't been able to maintain a job in the past. I've got a couple gentlemen who've actually never worked in their life. And with their disability income, SSI, SSDI, really SSDI because they've never worked. SSI is really for those who have worked, so their disability income. We're looking at right now with the cost of living, COLA, cost of living adjustment, about $700 a month. It's basically part-time income at best that the government allows, that provides. So thinking about if rent is about $400 to $500 a month, where you go, let's say, at a regular apartment.
If you can get into a regular apartment with mental health issues, which
True.
is another whole different
Yeah.
conversation.
Very good point. That's that's 2/3 of your income basically is going to rent, over half, so it's like 60%. Then you've got food, then you've got maybe a bus pass, you've got utilities, you've got prescriptions. I mean, really, before you know it, your money's gone. So this is the situation that a lot of the people that you'll be helping out, hopefully, are unfortunately going through. $700 a month is not a lot. There's a lot of social service out there, but it doesn't fill in all the gaps.
And they're complicated, and we put them in different buildings, so you have to use a bus pass every time you go to a different place to apply for something.
Mm-hmm.
And we have them all during banker's hours.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have relied on transportation for somebody who works during the day, there's just no capacity to be able to get those services taken care of in the evening.
Or know that President's Day, everything is closed. It's a federal holiday, so if you go out to get your Social Security today, they're closed. So if you don't know what day it is, or what day of the month, or that this is such an important federal holiday, you don't get any help today. And then the disability income, depending upon, or the SSI, the supplemental, if you've worked, you know, honestly, I'd say the majority of the people that I work with probably get the minimum, not the bare minimum, but the minimum. So we have some people on the team that have more money coming in because of retirement or pensions. Even that, the government kind of has their hand in. It's difficult. So there's a lot of stressors going on with the people that we help that we may not know about. Oh, and the thing about Rock Hill is that if you go to a group home, pretty much any group home, here's how it works. Thank you for coming aboard. Please sign off all this paperwork, hand over your check. They'll take care of you. They will, you know, they'll provide wonderful meals. Rock Hill could be one of the best in Kansas City, or it could not be. It could be. But anywhere that you go, regardless of the size of the group home, pretty much the negotiation is that they get your check because they are providing 24/7 health care. They're providing all the meals, housekeeping, nursing, activities. So it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot in the area in terms of group homes, but that's pretty much how it works. So it's difficult. You know, a lot of our clients deal with their psychosis through smoking. And so with group homes, you get like a weekly or monthly allowance, and you're looking at probably anywhere from $30 to $60 a month of spending money, so they don't get the entire 100% of the check, but pretty much everything. So a lot of our clients, I mean, they, you know, $60 a month goes like that with cigarettes, 2 cartons.
Yeah, because 40% of people with severe persistent mental illness smoke. Most of them are pretty heavy smokers. They also die 30 years earlier than people without severe persistent mental illness. Much of that tobacco related, but it's also, you know, they come to see me, they have diabetes. I'm so overwhelmed by their mental illness, I never get to their diabetes.
Or they can't communicate that this is what's going on.
Or I give them such a complicated regimen that they're like, are you having mental illness problems? I cannot manage this 4 times a day insulin. And so we have never figured out in medicine that there is this category called close enough. We have only the right answer. We don't have one that works. I have patients who have type 1 who are on once-a-day insulin. Now, that's a crime according to the endocrinologist. Guess what? My patients aren't in DKA. My point with them is my goals for them may be very different. My goal may not be that their A1C is 7. If their A1C is 9, good for us. And we're terrible about talking about incrementalism in medicine. We only have the right answer. Well, guess what? Moving that guy from 8 to 7, he gets a little benefit. You move the guy from 14 to 12, he got 10 times the benefit as the guy who moved from 8 to 7. But that's not where we put our effort. So in my clinic, I put all my effort in my disasters, because if I can move their needle, the cost and the benefit to them for their long-term health, that's where the money is. But that's not, right? Medicine is built around a white middle-class model with white middle-class ideals and values. That's the practice I had. So I was now in Eastern Jack, 6% minority, all of my patients who had commercial insurance. So for that population, I talked about things that mattered on their time horizon. So for people who are very wealthy, they're thinking about their legacy, they're thinking about how they leave money to future generations, they're thinking about those sorts of things. Middle class values, we're on a 30-year time plan. I am planning for my retirement, I am planning to get my children into college, I'm planning to take care of my parents. Those are all of my time horizons. In my population, the time horizons are 2 weeks to 1 month. Yours might be till the afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I'm on a rent cycle and I'm on a 2-week paycheck cycle. So whatever my message is, better fit in that time frame. So I don't talk about going blind, and I don't talk about renal disease, I don't talk about any of that stuff. My patients know they're going to be dead long before then, so they don't care about it. I talk about erections and infections, because infections mean you can't go to work tomorrow, and erections are self-explanatory, so everybody gets that one. But it has to be real and it has to be tangible. And the other thing I talk about is Alzheimer's, because in poverty populations, that is a real thing, because they all take care of, they either work in nursing homes or they are connected to family members with Alzheimer's disease. Because impoverished populations tend to have a much higher rate of Alzheimer's. So if you need one of those long-term horizons, that's what I reach for, because that has realistic expectations. So I jumped right in.
No, I'm glad.
So the thing we were talking about before is that our patients are not persistent and severe mental illness, or they're not diabetics, or they're not the gallbladder in 612. They are, for my patients especially, they are 10% disease, 90% context. So my notes are probably different than any notes you read. My notes begin with a paragraph. Mrs. Jones is a 42-year-old white female who is the mother of 4 with 3 of her adult children living with her and responsible for supporting 9 people in the family. They have 1 working vehicle. They have 2 people who earn wages. They are currently living on her Social Security and 1 child who works nights at Taco Bell, whatever that is.
That's reality right there.
Yeah. And I talk about pets. Pets matter more in this population than anywhere else. So my patients won't go into homeless shelters because they have pets. My patients won't go into battered women's shelter because they have pets. So you have to know who else is part of that family, and the pets absolutely count. So I tell the story based on context, because then when I get down to not walking, not eating well, that's a very different story if there's no harm. So one of my patients who were talking about malnutrition, I think the last time you guys got together, and I had a guy come in who could just hardly hold his head up. He was so depressed. He had lost 40 pounds. I start checking his blood work. His B12 level didn't register. I'm like, dude, what have you been doing? I'm, going through all my list of horrible on this side of the nose. You have pernicious anemia, all the list. All that is internal medicine type stuff. And I start saying, so tell me how you spend your day. Well, I sit. Well, there's no good ending to that story. So it turns out that the only place you could get food was at this really grotesque little gas station that he could walk to. It wasn't on the bus line, he didn't have a car, and he was eating tater tots. That's it. That was his food group. Tater tots and water. That was it for 1 month. Well, let me tell you how bad your iron level is, what your muscle tone is like. You have no vitamin C. He already had petechiae around his hair follicles. All of his hair was falling out, his teeth were loose. So he got fixed with groceries, not with